Education doesn't matter. I'll make Linda happy.
Robert, the guy who comforted me after I lost my parents in an accident and was left broke. Now his catchphrase is,
Even though she's a high school dropout.
the old Robert is gone. And not just that, even Susan easily abandoned me. I've lived my life working hard for Robert and Susan, and this is unforgivable. To prove them wrong, I decided on a particular form of revenge. My name is Linda. I'm 21. My husband Robert is the same age as me, still a college student. There's a reason Robert got married while still in school. I lost my parents all at once when I was in middle school. Back then, I was dating Robert. Losing my parents was devastating, but not having a family left me at a loss for how to live my life going forward. I was preparing for college entrance exams, but I couldn't focus on my studies. Eventually, both emotionally and financially, continuing as a student became untenable. I gave up on the college entrance exams and started working, dropping out of high school. During that time, Robert, who I was dating back then, said to me,
It's okay. I'll be by your side.
But I even dropped out of high school.
Education doesn't matter. I'll make you happy, Linda.
Robert. In hindsight, maybe Robert just said it in the heat of the moment. But Robert stuck to his word and married me. I'd been working ever since I dropped out of high school, and I quit my job when I married Robert. The reason was simple. I was pregnant. Being pregnant was reason enough to quit, but there was also another reason, for Robert. At that time, Robert was intensely studying for the CPA exam.
Having credentials expands your job opportunities and even boosts your salary. I want to work hard for you and our baby.
Robert often said things like this. He was filled with hope back then, and I wanted to support that hopeful Robert. If Robert passed his CPA exam and secured a job, our lives would stabilize. Then we'd make lots of happy memories as a family of 3. With these hopes, I juggled household chores and childcare. But life doesn't always go as planned. A year later, Robert failed the CPA exam. He was well prepared, so the failure hit him hard. Without consulting me, he decided to get a job at a regular company. When I found out, I asked Robert to confirm. Hey, are you really okay with giving up?
Give up what?
Getting your CPA license. You've always wanted it. My words seemed to ignite Robert's anger. Frustrated, Robert snapped, glaring at me.
Shut up, you dropout. You're no consolation.
Whoa, Robert, what's going on?
Don't interfere. Just listen and keep quiet, you fool.
That's not fair. From then on, Robert's attitude clearly changed. He no longer showed kindness or thoughtfulness toward me, resorting to insults for even the smallest issues.
You dropout. You dare talk back, dropout. Just keep quiet, you fool.
These phrases became Robert's go-to when he was in a bad mood. The verbal abuse escalated, and he'd yell at me even if Susan was around.
You should work too instead of lazing around, you dropout.
But Susan is still young. We'd have to find childcare.
So find it already. Even a fool like you can get a job. Just go get one.
I'm sorry. Feeling triumphant, Robert spoke to Susan.
See, Susan, it's tough having such a useless mom, isn't it? There.
Leveraging her innocence, Robert would say such things. He never hurled insults or violence towards Susan. That was the only solace. After dropping his CPA studies and getting a job, Robert started going out just with Susan. Whether I was there or not, they'd go out to eat, go shopping, just the two of them. Days like this continued. I found a place where I could work even with a child and threw myself into my job. As a result, my time with Susan began to dwindle. I had no way of knowing back then that things would turn out this way. I was completely in the dark at that time. About 10 years have passed. Today is my 35th birthday. It's been years since Robert celebrated my birthday. He's probably forgotten it by now. As I reached this milestone, I bought 3 cakes and went home to have a modest celebration. I'm home. Sorry I'm late. I've bought some cake. However, Robert completely ignores me. Being ignored is nothing new, but today there's a different vibe in the air. Robert?
Here, I've already signed it. Now it's your turn.
What? What Robert thrusts in front of me as soon as he comes home is divorce papers. I can't wrap my head around this sudden development. What? Why divorce papers?
It's your final birthday gift. Be happy. Sign it now.
Wait a minute, what's going on? This isn't funny. Robert laughs mockingly at my disbelief.
A joke? You're not needed anymore, that's what.
Not needed? What are you talking about?
I was only with you because you were young and pretty. Now that you're past 35, I don't need an aging dropout.
What the? Suddenly, I feel eyes on me. I look towards the door and Susan is standing there. Susan has often overheard Robert's verbal abuse, but this is different. I can't let Susan, who's only in middle school, overhear our divorce talk. Putting on a calm face, I gently speak to Susan. Susan, I'm sorry. Mommy and Daddy are having an important discussion. Could you go to your room? Shut up, old woman.
What?
I'm at a loss for words hearing Susan's shocking outburst. This has never happened before. Let me make this clear. I don't think of you as my mother. You neglect me under the excuse of work. You're just the worst. But wait, I never neglected you. Really? It's always Dad who takes me places. That's because Robert decided to... What? You're blaming Dad? Weren't you out with other men, using work as an excuse? Susan, why would you say that? Shut up. Just leave. Wait, Susan, please listen to Mom. Shut up. You're not family. It seems like Robert has brainwashed her. I'm dumbfounded as Susan yells at me with an expression I've never seen before. Robert smiles maliciously as if he's won. Why? Since when did Susan start saying things like this? No matter how many times I try to reason, they won't listen. In that moment, on my 35th birthday, I lost my place in this world. It's no exaggeration to say that I lived for Robert and Susan ever since we got married and Susan was born. I thought I was doing my best in housework, parenting, and my job. Yet, this is how they repay me?
You'll get your share of property in return. Susan lives with me. Leave this house immediately.
After Robert says this, I leave the house with tears in my eyes. I've been abandoned by Robert and Susan. I can't live in this house anymore. Afterward, I rent an apartment with the little money I've saved before marriage. As I lie on the floor, tears naturally flow. Why did it have to come to this?
Education doesn't matter. I'll make you happy.
Didn't he say all that? After entering the workforce, I faced ridicule a few times for not finishing school. What hurt the most was that the disapproval came from my own family, whom I trusted. I couldn't let it go. There's no way this is how it ends. I'm going to prove Robert wrong if it's the last thing I do. I held back my tears and gritted my teeth, making up my mind right then and there. Life became a whirlwind from that moment on. First goal, the GED test. Then it was on to college. Juggling a job and school narrowed down my options. Ultimately, I chose to enroll in an online university. Thankfully, I've always enjoyed learning, but graduating college wasn't my end game. My ultimate goal? To pass the CPA exam, the one that Robert failed. Are you kidding me? Is the CPA exam really this hard? I took the test, but had no clue what answers to give, or even what the questions were asking. Still, I kept pushing, poring over advice from professors and experiences from those who'd been there, done that. I almost gave up multiple times, but my desire to prove Robert wrong fueled me. And after 4 non-stop years, it finally happened. I passed the CPA exam. My relentless effort had paid off. Fast forward 3 years, after gaining all sorts of practical experience, I got officially hired at the consulting firm I'd been aiming for. I'm excited to join the team from today. My name is Linda Ashfield. Nice to meet you all. As everyone looked at me with hopeful eyes, there was one person who couldn't believe what he was seeing.
What are you doing here?
Well, long time no see.
No way you have those credentials.
Robert approached me, clearly shaken.
What trick did you use?
Trick? I just studied, took the CPA exam, and passed. That's why I'm here.
That can't be, because
I'm a dropout, right? Robert was speechless. That's when our boss interjected.
Mr. Smith, do you know Miss Ashfield?
Caught off guard, Robert pointed at me and blurted,
She's lying about her qualifications. Boss, she's committed fraud. Fraud? Yes, she's nothing but a low-educated dropout.
My boss just shrugged.
What are you talking about? She graduated from college, earned her credentials, and has experience. I can vouch for her. What? So what's your relationship exactly? Well...
Unable to bear Robert's silence, I decided to spill the beans. We're ex-spouses.
What?
Ignoring the shocked look on our boss's face, I continued. Yes, ex. He served me divorce papers on my 35th birthday. Said he didn't need an old dropout woman anymore.
What? Mr. Smith did that?
Yes. Well, it's true I dropped out of school, but it fueled my determination to excel. I'm actually grateful now because it led me to earn my credentials. The boss and the surrounding coworkers grimaced at the conversation. At that moment, everyone's perception of Robert visibly changed. From then on, Robert found himself ostracized at work. Whispers about Robert's performance were in the air. Unable to endure the toxic work environment, Robert resigned the next day. All these years making fun of people for being dropouts, and now look at you. It's so pathetic, it's almost funny. And so, my revenge on Robert is complete. Not long after, my daughter Susan came to visit me. She must have gotten my whereabouts from Robert. Now a college student, she shook my shoulders and blurted out this. Mom, I want to live with you. I looked at Susan skeptically and asked, why? Because Dad quit his job. It's your fault for joining his company. You owe me. What are you talking about? I simply utilized my skills to get a job. I haven't caused trouble for anyone. What? Because of you, Dad had to quit. How will you cover my tuition now? Despite past issues, Susan showed no signs of remorse. What a waste of time I spent being a mother to such a child. She had grown, but clearly not in the ways that mattered. Taking a deep breath, I told her, "Honestly, I don't care about you anymore." "What? How can you say that? You're my mother." "Mother, you chose to go with your father and told me I'm not your family, remember?" "But I was just a kid. I didn't know." "You're a grown-up now, right? Yet you still can't grasp the gravity of your actions? There's no obligation to help an ungrateful child. I've long stopped being a convenient mother for you. You're not my daughter anymore." "No, wait, Mom!" Ignoring Susan's teary eyes, I walked away. I haven't met Susan since then. She's been persistent in contacting me, but I've never responded. Eventually, Susan left home, unable to stand her jobless, alcoholic father, Robert. Unsurprisingly, she dropped out of college. Now, she's apparently hopping from one place to another, doing odd jobs to make ends meet. This experience should teach Susan the hardships of making money and the struggles of adult life. I hope she learns from the unfairness of society and grows on her own from now on. As for me, I've been gaining experience in my current job and remarried 2 years later. My new partner is someone I met through work. Younger than me, but a wonderful and accepting person. We were blessed with a child right away, and I recently started my maternity leave. Having a child at an older age does come with challenges, but the joy outweighs it all. I wouldn't have this happiness with him if it weren't for my past before the remarriage. Thinking about it that way, maybe I have something to be thankful for. No matter how terrible the past, with effort, you can always change it into a bright future. Having lived through it myself, I can now proudly say that. From here on, the three of us, my husband, our baby, and I, want to build a wonderful life together.